Good evening, everyone. This is your Sir Jasper, and welcome to Virtual English. For today's lesson, we will learn about fact versus opinion. Here, we will define a fact as well as opinion. Also, I'm going to provide example statements under each terms, which are fact and opinion. And I will also provide worst case scenarios if we we inappropriately use a fact and opinion in academic writing, and I'm going to also show you how to properly use these two. First, let's define fact. A fact is a piece of information that can be strictly defined and proved true. Facts are statements that are based on truth. These statements are verified and usually under the process of being researched. These statements are usually being written and said by experts in certain fields. These can also be the people who are considered the proponents of these statements. These people should be reliable in order for us to say that they are telling facts rather than opinions. They should also state their references as these are needed to verify the facts. Also, these facts are verifiable statements, meaning something can be done to determine whether the information they present is true or false. We test them through direct experience, for example, when we observe or conduct our own experiment, or by indirect experience when we consult research sources. Example statements under fact are: the Nile is the longest river in the world. Jakarta has 7,500,000 population. UKI is an Indonesian private university. Opinions, on the other hand, are expressions of beliefs, feelings, and judgments that cannot be proved true or false. Example statements under opinion are: first, teenagers are too moody to be trusted. Here we cannot distinguish if this statement could be true or false because the writer indicated his feeling about this topic. Also, young people think they will live forever and can't be hurt. The same is true with the first statement, it's just the feeling of the writer. And lastly, Mona's is the most wonderful tower in Asia. It is very important to use opinions and facts appropriately in academic texts because once that you did not use them properly, you may face one of the following cases. First is plagiarism. Plagiarism means that facts are being copied without citing the proper author or resources. In other words, you just copied the words from a reliable source and then you assume that it is your opinion. That's plagiarism. You did not cite the proper author or resources who actually said the statement that you have used. For example, the case of Tito Soto copied who copied statements from a certain text and he included it in his speech without citing who really said that statement. So that's one example of plagiarism. You did not cite who said the given the statements that you have used. Okay. Secondly, we have slander or defamation. What does this mean? This means you have used words falsely spoken that damage the reputation of another. Opinions, in other words, that are degrading to one's country, race, or person without truth and basis, is a candidate for legal matters such as these: slander and defamation. Thus, how should we use opinions and facts properly? In your reaction paper or critique, for example, make sure that all your opinions are supported by the relevant facts. If you're given judgment on a film story, for instance, the supporting details should be factual details from the film story as shown on the slide. An example of an opinion is: the story is confusing as there are many gaps in the narrative. The following statement is a supporting fact: the audience is not told about how the problem was resolved in the end.
Another supporting fact could be the motive for the crime was not explained. And lastly, we have one character that had been killed inexplicably came back to life in the middle. As previously stated, the judicious use of factual details to support our opinions make our evaluations convincing and acceptable to the reader. It also assures our audience that we were paying careful attention to the details of the thing evaluated, and this is what makes a good critic. And that ends our virtual lesson on Flip Classroom. I hope you learned a lot from today's online discussion. If there are any questions, feel free to raise them in class and I would do my best to entertain your queries. So, again, this is your Sir Jasper. See you tomorrow and have a great evening.